Something special this week, girls and boys. If you're a regular of this channel, you may have seen a similar one of these tools before, but if you're not, you might be thinking, what's so great about that? It's just a circular saw. Well, it's not. I'm going to tell you why this is different in just a moment. Well, I'm going to show you in just a few minutes. But first up, if at any point in this video you want one of these, it's going to be pretty tricky for you to find it unless you go to Japan. Look, it even says down here, use only in Japan. What? This is only sold in Japan as far as I am aware, but I will put some links down below if you want to grab one for yourself. Don't worry, it'll still work outside of Japan, trust me. But let's take a look at why this is different to any circular saw you've ever seen. Let's do a bit of an unboxing. It comes with a dust chute screw on. It comes with 2 batteries. Now, this is one of the very cool things about this saw, because look how small this battery is. This is a 10.8 volt battery. Now, you might think, what? I've never heard of 10.8 volt before. Well, in most of the world, 10.8 volt is called 12 volt. It should be called 12 volt max. So basically 10.8 volt nominal or 12 volt max when it's fully charged up. Are they fully charged up? Of course they are. I've already done that. So, this particular kit came with 2 of these batteries. And, oh, I've already been using that one on another tool and it needs to be charged up again. This is, of course, get this out of here. What are we doing? What are we doing? Right, there we go. A Hikoki tool. Metabo HPT in the States. If you're thinking this looks kind of familiar, that's what they call them in the US. Metabo HPT, not Hikoki. Hikoki stands for Hitachi Koki. They put together names from, yeah, anyway. If you want to know that stuff, have a look at this video up here, down there. Right, as you can see, this is a very cute, small little tool. Look at it. It's not very big. And of course I got it in black because, well, I have a bit of a fetish for black circular saws. The blade is only 125 millimeters. That's 5 inches, which makes this thing nice and small and nice and light, especially with these tiny little batteries. You know, I mean, look at that. Compare that to any other battery you're using on a circular saw, you know. This is a little cutie. Now, by the size of this, I think they're running 21700s in here. So it'll be 3 21700s. The sticker has been put on nice and straight, as you can see. This is a 4 amp hour battery, 44 watt hours, made in China. The tool, even though it is a Japanese company, Hikoki seem to make all their tools in China now. Since the tsunami, I may be wrong, but I haven't seen a Japanese Hikoki for a very long time. And from what people who work for Hikoki have told me, they do everything in China now. Now, you might be thinking, well, what's the point of that? It's just a circular saw that doesn't cut as deep as a circular saw I already have. Yeah, but it does something that your circular saws probably don't do, and that is this. Okay, what's so great about that? You took the edge off, you took the front off, you took the side of the base off, who cares? Well, as well as doing that, you can do this, okay? Bevel to the side, nothing unusual about that, eh? Bevel to the right there. But by flicking this lever now, I can bevel the other direction. So now, I'm bevel cutting the other way. You might still be thinking, okay, so what's so great about that? Well, let me show you by just turning the camera around here. So if we take a look at this sort of wall here, I am about to cut that silly little shelf off. So I have just painted my floor, cleaned out my workshop area here, and I need to get rid of this little stupid shelf so I can put a shelf unit there, or a cabinet. It was put there by a previous owner. They used to have dart boards on here, and they must have had their darts and stuff on that board. Unfortunately, it goes underneath some cupboards that are on the other side, and so I need to cut it off flush with the wall. And that's something that's pretty hard to do with most tools, apart from maybe a multi-tool, which by the time you get to the end of that, you've burnt through a couple of batteries, a couple of blades, and you're deaf. So I'm going to show you how cool it is with this saw once I get rid of this old lion picture from my youth that I've had for more years than I care to say, something my dad made for me when I was young, and of course a map of New Zealand so I can aspire to go there one day. Anyway, let's chop this off. Screwed on the dust port there so I can hook it up to a vac, but it doesn't really matter because I don't have any fitting that'll fit on the hoses and everything that I've got. So I'm going to have to resort to that. At least it's kind of the right colour. Not that this is green, it's black of course. And for all of you who are saying that the blade's on the wrong side, it'd be much better if it was blade on the left, I'm about to tell you and show you why you are wrong. Right, here's hoping this sort of lip that sticks out doesn't interfere too much, but hopefully it shouldn't because of the design of this saw. Anyway, made and cut. Pretty quiet, doesn't sound very powerful. How cool is this? Now I didn't want to cut all the way through because there's concrete block right underneath it and I didn't want to stuff the blade on the first cut, but we might be able to just do that. Didn't get near the concrete block. Pretty close though, pretty close. Some interesting packers under there. But let's take a closer look at that. Look how flush we are with the rest of that wall. Can you do that with your circular saw? Now, just imagine you're cutting out a rotten bit of floor. You need to get hard up against a wall. Look at that, you can undercut even. Huh? Flush and undercut. How good is that? And if you're saying, why can't the blade be on the other side? Because if the blade was on this side and you're right-handed, you're standing in a very awkward position. It's okay if you push it along with your left hand, but if you're right-handed, your body wants to be over there, and there's a wall in the way. So if you're on your knees, remember, cutting out a floor with the blade on the right, and you're right-handed, you can be down on your hands and knees, pushing it along, cutting out the edge of the floor, hard up against the wall, crawlity, crawlity, crawl, not a problem, you're on the right side of the tool. If the tool is this way around and the blade's on that side, you've got to cut from the opposite direction for starters, so let me change sides. So if we imagine the blade is now on this side of the tool, so we've got the tool like this. If I want to do it right-handed, I'm like, you know, where do I go? My body wants to be through the other side of this wall here, and yeah, that's a bit tricky. So you've either got to cut left-handed, like so, or if you want to do it right-handed, it's just extraordinarily awkward to move around. So for right-handed people, this type of saw, for this type of task, much better with a blade on the right-hand side, not the left. And if you tell me this is a concrete floor and not a wooden floor, I'm going to hunt you down. So it made that cut all right, but it didn't sound very powerful, which is not surprising. It's only 12 volt, but it was a little hard to tell because I had the vac going and I was concentrating looking at the camera and what have you. So now I'm just going to do some cuts without a vac on it. We'll see how well the sawdust sprays out the back, and we'll see how loud it is, and we'll see how well it cuts or struggles. I've got to get rid of that crap that I just cut off, so let's dice it up. So after that rip cut, still showing 4 bars, which I'm actually quite surprised about because it's only a 10.8 volt battery. Anyway, let's see how she goes cross-cutting this rubbish up. Look out for some nails. Try and go as fast as I can. Right, so took a bit more to stall than I thought, almost made it all the way through. Not too shabby, you know, for 10.8 volts. It's pretty impressive. Let's take a look. Oh, we're still showing 4 bars. Awesome. What else can we do? Oh, this is Remu. Cut through that nice and easy. Listen to how quick that brake is. Good little brake. I'm impressed so far. It's pretty cool. I doubt I'll ever get to New Zealand. It's like, wow, it's like on the bottom of the world, isn't it? Goodbye dreams. What are we at now? 1 bar down. It's pretty good. Now that's 18mm MDF that I was cutting. This was it's like 20mm pine. Actually looks like a weird size. It looks a bit more than that. Looks like about, compared to the 18mm MDF here, it's more like 22mm. But how deep does this actually cut? Now the true test, can it cut framing timber in one pass with such a tiny little blade? Now standard framing timber in this part of the world is 45mm thick, or that's about, what, 1 3/4 inches? So let's go. Can she do it? Woohoo! She can do it. So only just though. Might have got 46, maybe 47mm. That's about it. 47mm is what the Makita one cuts to as well, the HS005G, and it's about to pour out with raid, so I'll meet you back at the bench. Now, if other Hikoki tools are anything to go by, this will come off somehow. Gotcha. She did not want to come off. Right, a couple of holes there. What's that for? Well, you can bolt a handle on it if you so desire. So if you want to stick a front handle on, you can. Optional extra, obviously. Anyway, with a saw this size, you don't really need a front handle, so I won't be putting one on it. So that can stay on there. What else do you want to look at on this thing? To remove the front, little knob there, little knob here. Out she comes. It is short on one side, long on the other, as you can see, so you can only put it in the one way. You can't flip it up the other way and put it in, because there's a stop in here that stops you from being able to do such a thing. Just take the battery off while we're playing with it here. How is the battery doing? Still 3 bars. I don't like the way that the fourth one is kind of half lit up. It's annoying. Anyway, that's a pretty minor issue. But yeah, still 3 bars after all that for a 12 volt battery, 10.8 volt. That's pretty good. What's the RPM on this thing? You can hear that it's not as powerful, not as quick as an 18 volt or a 36 volt tool. But according to the label here, we're coming in at 4,500 RPM, which is respectable. And it says on there 47mm depth of cut. Lever on the back here, of course, for dropping her up and down. Nice and simple. We've got measurements on there, have we? Kind of, but like most of them, they're pretty hard to see. What do we got there? 30mm and 15mm, I think. Let's leave that up for a second. It'll stand up better that way. Now we've got markers on. Is it? Sorry, I thought it was metal for a moment, but I think it's just plastic. Yeah. Speaking of just plastic, this may look like metal, but it's not. Like the Makita one, it's just plastic. So these tools, nice and light. This bit here, of course, looks like metal, and it is, but this bit here on the front, plastic. We've got another knob in here, the big spring on it. That's for your rip guide. If you want to have a rip guide, it sort of pops out through here. Let's see if I've got one that'll fit. There we go. Lock it in there. A little bit awkward to get to, but it's a very small saw, so you've got to put these things somewhere. And there we go. We've got a rip guide. That's one off a Makita. So if you've got a small Makita one, fits, no bother at all. It's quite a nice spring there too, because there's the screw, and then there's a spring, and then it's a metal plate at the bottom. See that chrome, same finish as this? That is actually what pushes against your rip guide, not a screw like you can see here on these Makita screw marks. It's a big flat plate instead. I'll test that over time and see if it's any good. We've got a couple of adjustment screws here on the base, so hopefully if it's slightly out of square you can straighten it up. We can bevel, of course, 45 degrees over to the right. It looks like left, I know, because, yeah, but if you're using it, it's that way, right? And, of course, this particular model, like you've already seen, bevels the other direction. And I can't see what that is. It'll be written on there somewhere, but I'm guessing from the other models that I've done that is 15 degrees. Yes, it does in fact say 15 degrees down the bottom here. And that is the coolest part of this particular tool. Front comes off, and the 15 degree reverse bevel Just here we have on-board storage for your Allen key if you need to change your blade. The little lever here to retract the blade is very flat and flush and tiny. That's because if you're cutting flush to a wall, you don't want that hitting the wall and getting in the way. If you've got this dust extractor on, it could potentially be a problem. Dust port, sorry, because it does stick out a little bit further than the little lever there. Not a huge amount, but may potentially get in the way. But if you're on that full 15 degrees, I think you should be fine there. It'll also depend on how deep you are cutting into your timber. If you're cutting out a floor, most of them around that 3/4 inch mark, 19 mil sort of stuff, so shouldn't be a problem. Lever on the front to lock the blade for when you change it. It's just so light, this thing. Let's weigh it. Not even 2 kgs, 1.94, nice and light. And the battery, 300 grams. So you're looking at about 2.25 kgs or whatever this is in pounds. And yeah, that's pretty sweet with the battery, and that's the big battery as well. If you get a 2 amp hour battery, it's lighter. I would recommend a 4 amp hour if you were going to be using the saw. You'll get away with a 2 on an impact driver maybe. Good little impact driver this. If you want to see more of these Hikoki 10.8 volt tools, 12 volt, let me know down in the comments section. You may have already seen this one. The video might already be out. I don't know. I haven't filmed it yet, but I may film it and put it out before this one goes out. I don't know. Anyway, it's a great little saw. If you want one, check out the links below. Just remember, if you're buying it with a charger, that the charger is from Japan, so it will have a Japanese plug, but more importantly, the voltage is potentially different from where you live. In this part of the world, we're looking at like 240 volt, where in Japan, it's 100. So in the US, you'll be okay to run it on a 110 volt system. But if you live here, you'll need to run it through a transformer, which is what I do. Step down transformer, nice and easy. So yeah, let me know if you want to see any more of these sort of tools along this range, or any other 12 volt tools from anybody else, or whatever you want, anything. Boom, go down there. See you later. I'm gonna go cut up some more stuff. I'll need that too.